morning, everybody. It's me, Josh. Oh, welcome to another edition of the Netfix. It has been quite the week. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to do all of the prep that I would normally do for the Netfix. Mostly because, I don't know if you heard, but Florida, the place I live, has been under threat of a pretty massive hurricane for the last few days, and most of my time / energy has been really focused on getting prepared for that. But fortunately, it looks like at this point, Dorian is deciding not to come to Florida. But as we all know, and as the memes have been saying, just because it's got its blinker on doesn't mean it's going to turn. It's Florida. So, with that being said, welcome to a kind of, I don't know, a seat of the pants edition of the Netfix as I try to put together a show on the run. Dealing with a little heartburn, too. So, how's everybody doing? Yeah? It's good to hear. Normally, I would talk about what I've been watching on Netflix. I haven't really been watching much, nothing to binge as of late. I've been kind of getting on board with this AEW thing, tracking that. You might have heard me talk about it on the Backstage Slam. It's a wrestling show that drops every weekend. Although this weekend I wasn't able to make the show because of previously mentioned hurricane. And that's it. I don't really have anything to talk about as far as, things that I've been watching myself. So how about we just go ahead and get on with the show. Sorry, I'm trying to buy time a little bit because I need to get something ready for you. Anything. And here we go. We're going to start with the Netflix original series, as we always do. Starting with September 6th. Elite. Season 2. If you've been following Elite, you know what that show is. When 3 working-class teams enroll in an exclusive private school in Spain, the clash between them and the wealthy student leads to murder. And that's Season 2 coming up September 6th. Next up is Jack Whitehall Travels with My Father, Season 3. It's... If you know who Jack Whitehall is, then you'll probably want to check this out. It's a travel documentary road trip comedy series that follows Jack and his father. Pretty self-explanatory. Comes out on the 6th, Season 3. If you've been watching, congratulations. You got more episodes to watch. Also on the 6th, The Spy. It is... Well, it's described as a miniseries, which is... I don't know what really is a miniseries anymore. We have some shows with 6 episodes for a season, and then if there's another season, it's just a series. But it stars Sacha Baron Cohen as Eli Cohen and Noah Emmerich, and it's about the life of Israel's top Mossad spy. Personally, this co-production between Canal and Netflix is, it sounds interesting, especially Sacha Baron Cohen taking up the helm, as the lead French programming. After that, we have Terrace House, a Japanese reality show that follows 6 strangers, 3 men, 3 women from different walks of life, who live under the same roof, all getting to know and date each other. Okay, sure, yeah. Sounds like a very, how do I say this? It sounds like it's made for a very specific audience, and that's okay. But that is coming out on the 10th. On the 10th of September. After that, well, we have something that people have been waiting a long time for. And they will be very happy to finally get their eyeballs on this particular show. It is The Ranch, Part 7. If I'm not mistaken, this is the conclusion of what has been the Ranch series with Ashton Kutcher and Sam Elliott. And at one point, what's his face? Hyde from that 70s show. But Part 7, well, I mean, what can I say? The series has been wonderful so far. The tale of 2 brothers, one a former football star who has returned home to the farm to take over the family, well, not take over the family business, but to join in the family business. The brother that was always there, and the father that is tough as nails and doesn't show emotion. And how each one of them is evolving through their experiences with each other. The Ranch Season 7, I cannot wait to watch. Unfortunately, it's not something I'm going to be able to get onto right away because it does have a bit of a spicy language. Yeah, it's got a lot of cussing in it. And it is a bit gratuitous, but it's perfectly believable, I think, in my opinion. So September 13th, mark your calendars, because The Ranch, Part 7, is coming your way. Also on the 13th, there is a show called Unbelievable. It's a drama, also called a miniseries, that follows Marie, a teenager who was charged with lying about having been raped, and the 2 female detectives who followed a twisting path to arrive at the truth. Starring Toni Collette, Mary Weaver, Caitlin Dever, and Danielle McDonald. This Netflix original comes out on the 13th of September. Moving on to the 20th of September. Sorry, I'm recording this at like 2 o'clock in the morning. I am freaking exhausted, but gotta keep true to the schedule. The Netflix drops on the 1st every month for you, right here from Simicore Studios. You might have noticed that Simicore has been expanding with a certain someone named Ben. If you like what he's doing, don't forget to follow him on Twitter. Just like you can follow me on Twitter at SkidComic. I believe Ben is BSP Ben. Let him know what you think about his show, where he muses on about, this life and entertainment things. It's something to listen to for another person's opinion on things happening in the world. But September 20th, we have Criminal, a 12-episode drama, I guess you could say. Is it a police procedural? I don't know. But it stars David Tennant and Haley Atwell. That's right. The Doctor and Peggy Carter will be on Criminal. What's it about? I'm not sure. It's described as a stripped-down cat-and-mouse drama that will focus on the intense mental conflict between the police officer and suspect in question. So it's about interrogations, I guess. To me, that sounds very interesting. Each episode will be produced in local language. So, the French... Okay, it's set in France, Germany, Spain, 4 countries, and the UK. It takes place exclusively within the confines of a police interview suite. A stripped-down cat-and-mouse drama that will focus on the intense mental conflict between the police officer and the suspect in question. So, depending on which precinct you're in, that will be the language that is going to be used. In France, French, Germany, German, Spain. And I don't know what language they speak in Spain. Yes, I'm kidding. But this sounds all very interesting, and I, for one, will be adding this to my queue, if only because of David Tennant and Haley Atwell, both of whom are absolutely wonderful to watch. Next up, another series that some people have been waiting quite a long time for, from the creator of The Simpsons, and more importantly, the creator of Futurama, is the next season of Disenchantment. It is the fantasy series, much like Futurama was the sci-fi series from Matt Groening. This is the fantasy series that it's a fantasy sitcom. Long story short. And it's about a 19-year-old princess and her, how do they put it, her personal demon, who is, if you've watched, The Simpsons, you know that usually there's one character that's just kind of really, really into mischief. So if I had to call him anything, he would be the Bart, he would be the Bender. He's just the troublemaker, and there are an assortment of other characters. Unfortunately, none of them are quite as memorable as Groening's others. Even The Simpsons' secondary and background cast, all of whom have had episodes about them, are far more interesting than anything on Disenchantment. But with that being said, it's still a good show, and it's still worth checking out. So, on the 20th, Disenchantment Part 2. Also on the 20th, Fastest Car Season 2. It's a reality show where drivers of exotic supercars go up against sleeper cars in a quarter-mile drag race. So, Season 2 is more of the same. If you want to see these hot exotic cars drag race against cars that look like junkers but are secretly beasts under the hood, then this is the show for you. I don't know much about cars, and quite frankly, I didn't watch the first season, but I might check it out. And when it comes to cars and stuff, I like the restoration stuff. I like, the West Coast Customs and cars where they take something kind of garbagey and make it look really nice. That's what I'm into. So, Fastest Car Season 2, coming out September 20th. Glitch Season 3. 6 people return from the dead with no memory and attempt to unveil what brought them to the grave in the first place. Again, not a show that I've been into. but it does have an interesting premise. So if you haven't checked it out yet, maybe now's the time. Because on September 25th, the third season is going to drop. And, well, Netflix has been a little notorious for their canceling shows after a third season. Lately, I should say. So this could be, your chance to get in, binge it, and get out. And that is going to be on the 25th. Glitch. And finally, on the 27th, we have The Politician. It's a American comedy web series created by Ryan Murphy, Brad Falchuk, and Ian Brennan. And it revolves around the political aspirations of Platts Peyton Hobbert, a wealthy stand-up barbarian, and every season will revolve around a different political race his character is involved in. That sounds hilarious. It stars Ben Platt, Gwyneth Paltrow, Jessica Lange, Zoe Deutsch, Lucy Boynton, Bob Balaban. It's got a nice little cast here. So check it out, The Politician, arriving September 27th. Giving these Netflix original series some much love as we do every month at the opening of the show. Finally, on this page of the sheets Netflix has so generously given out to everybody to let everybody know what's coming, we have films, original films. And on September 13th, Tall Girl. When the tallest girl in high school falls for a handsome foreign exchange student, she becomes embroiled in a surprising love triangle and realizes she's far more than her insecurities about her height have led her to believe. Starring Sabrina Carpenter, Paris Barelk, and Griffin Gluck. Tall Girl. So that is coming on September 20th. September 13th. On September 20th, Between Two Ferns, the movie, the Zach Galifianakis web series, I guess you call it, usually interviews, is going to be a movie. I'm not sure what else to say about that, because if you know what it is, you know what it is. I don't know what the movie's going to be, but I imagine it's going to be more of the same. On the 27th, the final movie coming out is In the Shadow of the Moon. In 1988, a police officer is hungry to become a detective and begins tracking a serial killer who resurfaces every 9 years. But when the killer's crimes defy all scientific explanation, the officer's obsession threatens to destroy everything. Starring Boyd Hollybrook, Michael C. Hall, that's right, Dexter, and Billy Otis. It is In the Shadow of the Moon. Sounds interesting. I love Michael C. Hall. You might remember, if you've been listening to me for a long time anyway, I did a Dexter podcast some years back, and it kind of phased out a bit as the show, well, we don't need to talk about that. But so Michael C. Hall is someone that I've been, kind of following for a while. And I think this actually looks pretty interesting. Directed by John Mickle. check it out on the 27th of September. If you're into listening to some stand-up, September 10th, Bill Burr is coming out with Paper Tiger. September 24th, Jeff Dunham is going to be beside himself. And September 30th, Mo Gilligan presents Momentum. These 3 stand-up specials will be dropping in September. For all of you kids and family people out there, on the 6th is Archibald's Next Big Thing. The 17th, The Last Kids on Earth. And September 23rd, Team Kaylee. If you're looking for a good documentary in September, here's a list. September 6th, Hip Hop Evolution Season 3. The 12th is The Mind Explained. The 13th, we have 2 dropping. Hello, Privilege, It's Me, Chelsea. The Chef Show, Volume 2. The 20th, Inside Bill's Brain, Decoding Bill Gates. The 25th, Abstract, The Art of Design, Season 2. And Burgers. And finally, September 26th, Explained, Season 2. Some good documentaries and docu-series coming out in September. Now, this is the part where I would normally have most of my research done. But if I'm going to be completely honest here, when it comes to content, maybe not hours-wise, but certainly by title, it's a little light. So I think I can do this. Okay, September 1st. It's always the big drop of the month. Everything comes out on the 1st, pretty much. So let's start with the 300. We all know, the title, not the title, but the story of the 300. And how Leonidas took 300 men to fight the Persian at Thermopylae in 480 BC. Yeah, I'm doing this all off the top of my head. Directed by Zack Snyder. This may be the last great movie that Zack Snyder did, which is kind of interesting because it's not like he hasn't been doing work. Some people would say Watchmen might be the last great thing he did, but I haven't seen it yet. I know, I love superhero movies. Why haven't I seen Watchmen? I don't know. It's just every time I think it's time to watch Watchmen, I don't. Sucker Punch, considered a visual masterpiece, lacking any real substance. Man of Steel was just, and Batman vs. Superman was, Justice League was, So, 300. Awesome movie. Definitely known for the visuals. And it's a classic tale. What is not to love? Also, of course, this is all for on the first until it's not. American Psycho. That's right. American Psycho. Christian Bale he wasn't unknown. After all, he was in Newsies. But after American Psycho, he kind of became a bigger deal because he puts in a wonderful performance as Patrick Bateman. a wealthy New York City investment banking executive. It has some some awfully absurd moments, and not just, gruesome murders, but rather than everybody dropping trowel and comparing, if you get what I'm saying, there's a scene where everybody's comparing business cards and talking about fonts and thickness of paper. It's just a weird world that Bateman lives in, and it leaves you asking a lot of questions by the end. It's highly regarded, rated R for a very good reason. If you haven't seen it, and you like Christian Bale, if you like good performances, this is a good movie for you to check out. I can't vouch for how it handles the story, but I will say it could have been a lot worse. It's really saved by the acting, in my opinion. Also, the first, of course, 68 Kill, a punk rock after hours about femininity, masculinity, and the theft of $68,000, directed by and written by Trent Haga, starring Matthew Gray Gubler, Annalyn McCord, and Alicia Bowe. I know nothing about this movie, but the movie poster intrigued me, so I decided to add it to the things to talk about. I will definitely check it out. It's listed as a rated R comedy, crime, romance. 6 out of 10 on IMDb. Okay, I looked some stuff up. Yeah, it just seems like a middling movie that, could be worth checking out for 90 minutes. And that's coming out on the 1st. Dante's Peak. Remember Dante's Peak? Some of you are old enough to remember Dante's Peak with 007 Pierce Brosnan himself arriving to town to stop a volcano. And of course, Linda Hamilton from Terminator fame. It's an absurd movie, but it's one of those absurd movies that you can enjoy, much like the movies from Cinema du Fromage, a podcast in which I am a part. We talk about cheesy movies. Don't forget to check out that show. Not a Semicore Studio show, mind you, but you're going to actually have to look that one up. Cinema du Fromage, where we talk about cheesy movies. Next up is not a movie, but it's a TV show. And it's Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 6. I know I've fallen off after Season 5. And this will be a good time for me to jump back into it. So I will be definitely checking out Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 6. I hope it ties into everything that's been going on in the MCU. There have been, mentions of stuff before, and I hope this won't be any different. Open Season, the animated feature film, is coming on the 1st. Stripes, the Bill Murray classic, where he, joins the army. That's coming on the 1st. Superbad, the Judd Apatow coming-of-age film about teenagers trying to get into a party. Yeah. That is an awesome movie you should check out. Definitely not one for the kids. And, this is interesting. Because it has here The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, coming on the 1st, but it does not mention The Lord of the Rings. So instead of like 50 hours of content, it's only going to be like 37. Weird. But 2 out of 3 Lord of the Ring movies are apparently coming on the 1st. And The Walking Dead Season 9. Now, I fell out of The Walking Dead a long time ago. And I'm surprised it's at Season 9. But I'm glad to know that if I decided to go back and binge it, and I might just do that. Season 9 will be there on the 1st to kind of get me up to speed. And also Scream Season 3 will be arriving to Netflix on September 1st. On the 10th will be Eat, Pray, Love and Shameless Season 9. The 12th has Turbo. The 13th, I'm Sorry, Season 2. On the 14th, we have Always Lived in the Castle. On the 15th, Surviving R. Kelly. On the 18th, Come and Find Me. On the 24th, American Horror Story Apocalypse is coming to the Netflix instant streaming. The 27th, Locked Up, Season 4, a show about jail. That's coming up. And finally, another show that I have neglected over the last year or so, and I'm actually really eager to kind of see what's happening. Gotham Season 5 is making its way to the Netflix instant streaming service. Well, again, I'm sorry. I know I usually put a lot more work into getting new information about these movies and what's coming, but as I said, these last few days have been a little nerve-wracking, considering we were under the belief that a massive hurricane would be coming our way. And like I said, luckily, for some reason, it's deciding to not. Or at least that's the way it seemed. Last update, it hasn't made that turn north yet, and that's the really big indicator of what's going to be happening in the future. But I do want you to know that next month should be a return to form for the Netflix. I'm sorry, for the Netflix. Doing it at an earlier hour, so I'm not so meh. I might have a guest on the show. I'm not going to say who it is now because followers of my work, I already heard that he was supposed to be on this show, but because I decided to record at 2 o'clock in the morning and he's West Coast, it's still late. The timing just didn't work out this week. But next time, 1 month from today, hopefully we'll get them on board. We can talk some movies. It's a big movie guy. Oh, well, until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful Labor Day weekend. September is going to be a good month to watch Netflix. And you know what? Every month's a good month to watch Netflix. So until next time, I bid you all a good night. Oh, once again, I keep forgetting to say this. Special thanks to Safety Net for the song Riots that we just talked over completely. There we go. Playing the outro twice. Sorry. It's been a long day. So, you know what? I'm just going to shut off my mic, say goodnight, and yeah, I'm out.